What's up, guys? It's your girl, Victoria J from 12th Street Talk Back, where transparency is our love language. You guys know that transparency is very important to me because I believe it's the key to bridging the communication gap. Bridging the communication gap in our community amongst our generations has been very near and dear to my heart for a very long time. And I've been working feverishly to spark the heart conversations in our community. As the world changes, people change, life experiences can change us. Sometimes it can be hard to express yourself to the ones that you love. We all suffered something during the pandemic, some more so than others. Life can be like an emotional roller coaster, and that's why I'm grateful to BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this podcast. Guys, did you know with BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists that can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, all you need to do is to answer a few questions about your needs and preferences during therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with a licensed therapist from their network. Then sit back, relax, and you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable via text, phone, video call. You can even schedule live sessions. And if your therapist is not the right fit for you for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional cost. With BetterHelp, you get the same quality and professionalism that you can expect from in office therapy, but with a therapist that is custom picked for you. More scheduling, flexibility, and the best part of all, at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/12th Street. That's better, HELP.com/12th Street. I've also linked it in the description below. Let's start bridging the communication gap together. Welcome back to Queen's Table Talk. We got your two faves in the building today. I'm Victoria J, and we got Miss Fiana from the Things About Us. How you doing today, Fee?
Girl, I am doing good. I'm glad it's Friday. This is the end of my work week. So let's shut it down and start.
Let's do what it do, baby. Let's make it do
Do
what
it.
it do. Well,
Now,
we're
how are you
missing some queens
doing?
this week.
Because yeah, you coming off some big birthday festivities.
Oh, yes, child. I had a ball yesterday. I had a ball. I
Hmm.
got roped into doing a TikTok on a dare. And I can't, I don't, if you ask me and you call me a chicken, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it just to prove you wrong. I don't care if it turned out right or not. But I did it, and everybody had to work except for baby girl, and she had the whole day planned for me. I had planned to do nothing. I said,
Hmm.
"Imma go out, Imma Uber a little bit and make me some money, and then whatever I make, I'm going to spend on myself." She called me 7 o'clock that morning. She said, "I got a whole day planned. Don't do nothing." But came over with
Oh,
gifts and flowers, and I was like, "You better do the thing, girl." Then my son and my other daughter sent Cash App money. Money is always good, and
okay, always.
we walked in the door and hubby had gifts, and I was like, "Girl, this was better than your 50th birthday."
Okay, you talk about it in true queen fashion, huh?
Girl, I couldn't have asked for anything better. I couldn't. They surprised me. They really did. I felt
And you know what?
blessed.
That's what makes it special, the surprise.
Yeah, she bought me some sunflowers. I had been telling her there's this lady that live around the corner. She's got these beautiful sunflowers planted right out front. I said, I'm
Hmm.
gonna sneak over there one night and cut me a couple stems down. So she bought me this bouquet of sunflowers. It's so pretty with the baby's breath. And
And you know what? When I was a kid, my grandma just used to do some of the wildest things. Um, Living in the projects, and she used to love eating sunflower seeds. Girl, one day she planted some in the front yard.
Did
That
she?
thing grew so tall, and when them seeds came out, baby,
Mm, I
I
bet you
remember
that was pretty.
I remember my baby sister had her plant a pumpkin in the front yard. Now I don't know if you know about girl, they vine all the way
Mm-mm.
out. Girl, she done planted this pumpkin seed. This vine started growing and grew all the way out the length of the yard. Girl, she done had to turn it to come back and grew my baby sister a pumpkin.
Oh,
And she
wow.
took it to my other grandmama and she made her a pie out of it.
Get
Mhm.
out of here. See, we need to go back to some of that old school stuff.
Yeah, we need some more big mamas like that. We need grandmamas like
Ooh,
that.
what you talking
That's what we
about?
need.
I've been reminiscing with
Mhm,
the auntie, and she been sending me the old black and white photos. That was one of
mhm,
the best birthday presents I got yesterday. She sent me a bunch of pictures of my grandmother, and my grandma was a
mhm,
pastor, and she went to Jerusalem, and she went with Jerry Falwell and them back in the day. And I've got all those pictures. And when they started coming in through text yesterday, I said, "Oh, I can't wait to go print these off." I mean, my grandmother did some amazing things. I mean, with big names that we know now, like
right,
TD Jakes,
right.
they hobnobbed when they were little. So just to
Mhm,
come from that type of heritage and actually have the photos of it, it's like,
absolutely.
y'all won't believe me, but I can show you the photos with my grandma with these people.
Like, hey, I got some history over here for
I
y'all.
got
For
some
y'all.
history over here.
Girl, that
Well,
makes me feel a little underaccomplished because my baby sister has gone to Jerusalem. My baby,
really?
yeah, she went. Um, Her church group had taken a pilgrimage tour. Yeah, she
Hmm.
did.
I want to go. That's what I was telling. That's how we got on that subject. I was telling her, I said, I can remember. I said, I don't know what happened to it, but I remember grandma had a photo and I believe she was in Jerusalem. She said, yeah, she went. I went Jerry Falwell and them. It was a whole bunch of them. She said, I think it was like 40 of them. And they
Mhm.
went and they spent like 10 days. She said she came back so happy and full of life. And I said, I got some history over here. I truly do come from queens and kings, kings and queens.
Absolutely, yes. Yes,
I'm going to
ma'am.
embrace my
Yes,
heritage.
ma'am. And that's just like me, in college, I had a roommate, and she was from Africa. She was from Malawi, Africa. And there's no reason I shouldn't have been yet. She's back there and she's always like, you should come, you should come. You know what? I think I need to go ahead
I think you do
and
too.
schedule me. Mm-hmm.
I started my bucket list about 20 years ago. I'm checking it all. I'm going to
See,
Jerusalem.
you know what? And I did a bucket list and I kind of tossed it to the side. I think I'm gonna revisit that,
Revisit.
making
Revisit
some
and
plans.
start. How they do it? What was the movie? What it was the bucket list where they had the little list and he was checking
Mhm.
off and marking through. That's what I do.
And and I'll tell you probably one of the first things, and it's probably one of the easiest things that I could do. And I know I'm gonna catch some flack on this from somebody. Learn how to swim
I
because I
don't know
don't know
how
how
to
to swim.
swim.
And I'm gonna tell you, when I was a kid, and every time we would go to the pool, I would always end up with an ear infection. In the
Mm,
pool, you trying to swim, water in your ears. And then what I found out is I had a perforated eardrum.
mm,
And so anytime I'd get water in my ear, I'd get an ear infection and a horrible earache. And I don't know if you've experienced, but to me, an earache is probably one of the worst pains because there's nothing you can take
mm-hmm,
to alleviate any of the pain. All you can do is get the antibiotics and wait for them to work to clear up that infection. And
mm,
so that gave me that big fear of water, because
mm-hmm.
after suffering for so long and that pain, I was like, no, sir. But
I ain't
that's
never
on my
had an
bucket.
earache. I ain't never had one.
Ooh,
And the way it sound like I don't ever want one.
yeah, because I've had, and you know how you feel when you get a toothache, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
To me, it's worse. It's like I said, it's 10 times worse because there's nothing you can take that's going to alleviate it.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm-mm.
You have to once you get those antibiotics, you gotta wait for it to run its course.
Well,
Ooh,
I ain't
but
looking
yeah,
forward to that one.
Yeah, so, but yeah,
Well,
that's on my bucket list. I need to do that.
we
That's one of the
do,
things.
we do. You check off one, I'll check off one. We'll get the other queens in on that too to start a
Okay.
bucket list. Speaking
You
of
know what?
which,
Then we
it's Virgo season. Virgo season.
okay.
Chiquita's on
Okay.
her little birthday Vegas trip to go see the Queen Bee. And
Mhm.
I said, I have at it. I ain't young no more.
You know what? Young is a state of mind.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
a state, but I feel you because I'm getting those approaching my well, I'm gonna say midlife. I'm getting those midlife aches and pains.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yep. I'm telling you, they ain't no
Mm-hmm.
joke. They ain't no joke. And then that
Mm-hmm.
between pre-menopause, menopause, post-menopause, I don't know which one I'm in. I was just arguing with my girlfriend the other day. She was like, Victoria, you cannot be post-menopause. I said, well, that's what my doctor said. That's what she said that I'm going through postmenopause. I haven't had the lady friend come and visit in 3 years almost, and I don't get the hot flashes like I do. My attitude has been well adjusted. Because you know how we get. I said, so I have calmed down a lot in this last year. And she said, I just don't believe that. I just believe you're menopausal. So I went back to the doctor the other day and she said, yeah, you are postmenopausal. She said, but you can still have the symptoms come out of the blue at any time now. So don't get too comfortable with not having those
Oh,
hot flashes and attitude changes and all of that. She said, but yeah, you are postmenopausal. And I was younger when I started, my lady friend.
mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
very
me too.
young. So I guess that's why now that I'm 52, I'm in the post stage.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm like you in the sense that I started very young. I was 9. I
Me
remember
too.
that day like none other. Yes, ma'am. But
Yes.
once I was diagnosed with breast cancer, the type of cancer I had was it it grew. Lord, I'm tongue tied. Let me get myself together. Um, it was aggressive because it fed off of estrogen. And so
Mm.
once I finished all my treatments and chemo and radiation, I went for the hysterectomy. So I understand the postmenopausal. And I thought, I was dealing with it well. I didn't think I was having any issues, but if you ask Mister, he would tell you something a little different. I thought I was
Ah,
good to go. No, I have mood flashes.
mm,
Attitude is great. And he was like,
He was like, I beg to differ.
absolutely, absolutely. But
I, I
I'm gonna say on the record, uh, hysterectomy, best surgery ever. I don't have zero regrets.
really, my
Yes,
sister
ma'am.
had one. My oldest sister had one, and my other sister had a partial. And she
Mm-hmm.
did say she wished that she would have went on ahead and had the full
Mm-hmm.
instead of the partial. But
What did
now
she?
she go ahead.
No, I was just asking, did she what kept her ovaries?
I think so. Is that what a partial
Yeah.
is?
Well, it can if sometimes you can keep your cervix and get rid of your ovaries. Sometimes you get rid of your ovaries and you keep your cervix. Did I say
Well,
that wrong? Vice versa.
I have to ask her. I don't know. I do know that my older sister, because she was telling me I was having some complications last year, and they went in and did
Mhm.
a biopsy because they were concerned about cervical cancer. And the
Mhm,
biopsy
mhm.
came back good, but I was asking, you know how we get, we start to ask all kinds of questions. And I was
Yes,
like, do I
ma'am.
have to have a hysterectomy? And she said, we have so many new things now. And they did
Mhm.
a laser surgery on me and did the biopsy. After they did the biopsy and found out what they found out, then we went in and they did a laser surgery to
Mhm.
shave down the thyroids and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
And she
Mhm.
was like, back in the day, that was got doctors go to was
Right.
automatically a hysterectomy. She said we have so
Right.
many more different ways to handle it that you don't have to, that doesn't have to be your immediate choice. And I kind of was looking at her with the side eye because I was talking to my sisters and I was like, they was like, girl, she offered the hysterectomy. Go ahead and get it. It's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. And I was like, well, y'all, she ain't telling me that. Well, should I be aggressive and push this thing? And she was like, honey, I promise you, if it comes back to that after you come back in after we do the laser surgery, then we'll go that way. She said, but at this point with the
Mhm,
laser surgery that they do, it has been 99% successful. And I just went for my 1 year last month.
mhm.
And she said, everything looks great. I was like, praise God.
Right,
I'm
right. Well,
tired of
that's
laying on
good.
that cold table looking up in the air.
Mm, girl, ain't that it? And, um, ladies, if you are listening, and not just ladies, anybody, if you are listening, take care of your health. Go for your
Mm,
regular appointments, your regular checkups. You know, um, sometimes we as African Americans don't take care of our health the way we need to. We don't have our regular checkups the way we need
mhm,
to.
mhm.
Sometimes it's warranted, because we have that fear because, as people of color, historically, we have that distrust for doctors
Mhm,
because of the way we were experimented on. And
mhm,
I know my grandmother used to always say she never wanted surgery. She said, "'Cause soon as they open you up and the air hits you." That's what how, uh,
mhm, mhm,
they,
mhm.
have those things. But, yeah, just a quick reminder, take care of yourself, get your regular checkups, physicals, your feminine checkups, your male checkups, whatever it is, take care of yourself.
Yeah, I after we did our last Queen Tables talk, I had a lot of guests on from the triad, and that's what I've
Mhm.
been pushing. And one of the ladies, I was just fascinated by her, Anita Ford. She came on and she was talking about dementia. And she was talking
Yeah.
about how it affects the black and brown communities greatly about our eating habits.
Mhm.
Sometimes we just chalk it up to our loved ones having dementia, Alzheimer's, and sometimes it could be something as small as getting their hearing checked, getting their
Right.
eyesight checked,
Right.
because we all have a little bit of memory loss, but don't just put
Mhm.
them in that category. But it does affect us a great deal more than we actually think. And that kind of shocked me because I always thought it was something that just happened to the Caucasians, Alzheimer's, you know.
Mhm.
And then my
Mhm.
mother had dementia, but she only had I would say a touch of it. She would flicker in and out, but it never was, she didn't totally know where she was at all times.
Right.
And when
Right.
she started to break it down to me, she said, think of it like candy. You got all sorts of types of candy, and that's how many
Mhm.
different cases of dementia that's out there. Not cases, but different names
Types.
for
Mhm.
types for
Mhm.
it. And I was
Mhm.
just like, I was in awe of all of that information, just like you were saying about getting your checkups. Now they're talking about cervical cancer and breast cancer, except, it's in the black and brown communities way more than we like to talk about. It is
Yeah, and I'm
affecting
gonna
us.
I'm gonna add even colon cancer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Just with my aunt, for her uh scheduled colonoscopy. And I think this is the first time she's had one. And
Mm-hmm.
she is 65. So this is her first colonoscopy. And they discovered 9 polyps. And the
Mm-hmm.
doctor told her had she waited 3 to 6 more months, it would have been full-blown cancer.
Get out.
So that's why, one of the reasons I say, take care of yourself. Take care of
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
I had my
Absolutely.
first one at 45, and I had
Mhm.
3 polyps. Last year, they found, I think it was between 7 and 9, and they were so large because of the fibroids, they couldn't really see anything until they really got up in there and start cleaning it out. I still have the photos and stuff. I got copies. I was actually supposed to be taking them to my doctor, but I kept them because It's something we need to keep up with. Our health is so important. I remember my bishop saying a long time ago, he said, the only regret that I have is I didn't take care of my health when I was
Mhm.
younger. He said, that's
Right.
the only regret that I have. And I think I was probably in my 30s when I heard him say that. And it's important for us to take care of our health, even though,
Yeah. We take, so many things for granted, and having received a big diagnosis, when I received my breast cancer diagnosis, I'm a hypochondriac. Any
mm,
little thing, I'm like, "What is this?" I'm going straight to the doctor. And I
mhm,
remember, what was I think I had it was a lump under my arm and it was tender. Wasn't nothing but an ingrown hair, as I
mhm,
found out. But, you know, I'm immediately nervous. I'm
mhm,
immediately playing all these scenarios out in my mind. And he's like, "Baby, it's probably nothing, I know." He was trying to talk me down, and I told him, I said, "You don't understand. It doesn't matter what you say. Having gone through this experience, that's
mhm,
like, I guess my form of PTSD, you know?
mhm, mhm,
Anything come up and I'm like, "Oh my god, what could this be? What is this? Let me go check it out." I don't wanna play worst case scenario, but I'm at the point now rather safe than sorry.
that's right. That's
Rather
right.
safe than
And that stuff goes through your mind too, especially if
Mhm,
you've been there and you've done
mhm,
that. That's kind of how I am with money and stuff like that because I was once homeless. Even
mhm,
though I
mhm.
know now, I know how to handle it, but when you're going through it and everything is going wrong, and I was thinking about that this morning. I said, if that was to happen again, I think that I would be able to deal with it. I wouldn't be okay with it, but if you've gone through it before, you
Mhm.
kinda know what to expect. Not that you like it,
Right,
but you
right.
kinda know how to handle it, and it's always somewhere in the back of your mind when you go through trauma like that, even I can't imagine. I just had my mammogram last month too, and it came back
Mhm.
great, but when I was doing it, I was at the health fair, and they had these, the little what do you call them? The little breasts, the little plastic different types of breasts, and they have you feel them
Yeah,
so that you
and
can tell what the
Mhm.
lump is. One thing that I was not checking
What?
was the nipple,
Right.
and
And
she
a
had
lot of
me
people
put my finger down in there to see
Mhm,
if I could locate the lump, and sure enough, it's
mhm.
hard to tell. But sure enough, she had 2 different ones up there, one without a lump and one with one, and it was hard to tell, but I wasn't doing that all these years.
And you know what? A lot of people don't do the underarm check either.
Mhm,
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. And, and talking about that, saying having gone through something before, if it happened now, you think you will be better equipped to handle it. It reminds me of, what we talk about in Sunday school, faith. And then
mm,
when you have that faith, it gives you peace.
mhm,
Think about some of the things that we used to go through, or something in your past that pops up, and you are so consumed with worry. What's gonna happen? I don't know how Imma get out of this. Lord, the woe is me, the tears, the sleepless nights, and you come out of it.
mhm,
Having gone through that a couple of times, I don't stress like that anymore.
mm-mm,
Don't get me wrong, you'll have some anxiety, but how they say experience is a good teacher.
mhm,
Once you've gone through some things a couple times, you realize, well, okay, yeah, this is not my ideal situation. This is not what I expect it to be. It's hard, but I'll get through it,
mhm,
because think of all the things we thought we'd never get through or we
mhm,
never get over.
mhm.
And here we are through them and over them.
Yep, there
So
we are through 'em and you said that
exactly,
right, V.
exactly. And so knowing that gives me some peace that even when things come up, stop, take a breath, and I have to just wait it out.
Mhm, Speaking of taking a breath, how has the school year been for you?
Well, you know what? It's been good. It's been good. A few hiccups, but overall, this has been one of my best years in a while.
Wow.
Um, I like that things are finally kind of getting back to normal post COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because the kids were out probably about 2 years collectively when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they came back, they were wild.
Mm.
And I can only imagine because think of us as adults and what we went through mentally
Mm-hmm.
and how challenging it was for us. And then navigating it as a kid, especially if you're a kid who is losing people around you
Mm-hmm.
because we had so much death. Um, they didn't have routines, normalcy, the schedule, and then the distant learning was it left a lot to be desired.
Mm-hmm.
So when they came back to the classroom, came back to school, it was wild. The behaviors were off the charts. I don't know about, where you are, but here during COVID, um, crime rate went up,
Mm-hmm.
everything. So last year, last year was rough, you
Mm.
know, behavior wise. And I'm not going to say just at my school, I think across our district, I don't know about other cities. But this year, they're back into the routine.
Mm.
We don't see, and I know we're just a couple weeks in. We don't see some of the behaviors that we saw that were just it was chaotic. It was chaotic. So my year so far has been going well. Got a pretty good class. Things have been going outside of the bus situation here in our district. Uh, outside of that, it's been good.
I
So yeah,
listened to that.
yes, excellent.
I listened to that last episode that you guys did, and you
Mm-hmm.
guys were talking about the bus situation. I think that's all over because we've had some challenges here. I think
Mm-hmm.
I heard about some challenges in Florida and that they're those my heart goes out to the teachers and the parents because both are going through. They've got a lot of stuff going on in those Florida school
Mm-hmm.
systems right now. They do, but I think a little bit all over. I was just hearing that, I think, on the news. I think I was looking at the world news or listening to something in my car, and they were saying just about everybody is struggling with this bus situation, trying to
Mm-hmm.
get people to do the job, to do
Right,
the
right.
job.
Absolutely. And I'll just be honest with you. It boils down to the behaviors and the lack of respect.
Mhm.
And even more so now, the lack of strong consequences for
Mhm.
the actions. Back in the day when we were in school and coming up, either you did or you didn't. You were wrote up, put out, or put off, out of
Mhm.
the classroom or off the bus. Parents had
Mhm.
to, after so often, parents had to come to a hearing
Mhm.
to get you back either on the bus or in school after suspensions. We have moved so far away from that.
Mhm.
The teachers and bus drivers are scared of the kids, the parents, and I hate to generalize. It's not all parents, but we have a different age of breed, kind of parent. Our parents are younger now. Some of them
Mhm.
don't have parenting skills. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Some of them are going through trauma, so their kids are dealing with that trauma as well. There are a multitude of factors, that play into it, but it's the behaviors. And
Mhm.
you're trying to drive a bus, and you got the kids who won't sit down out of the seats or just disrespectful. We have the fighting. We won't even talk about inappropriate behaviors between the kids, things that happen on but it's so many different things.
There's so
And
many
so
factors.
yeah, it's hard now and it's gonna get harder unless they figure something out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. And you know what? It's hard not to stigmatize. I think That's where I beat myself up the most when I have certain conversations, especially when I
Mhm.
do my solo shows, because there's so much on my mind and I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, or I don't mean it to always call out the young people, because I
Mhm.
do know that my generation, my sister's generation in the ear- earlier, later 50s than I am, and
Mhm.
probably beyond that. We did play a big part in that. I was having a conversation with a young lady from Senior Services, not Anita, but Frandy. I just did a piece with them, grandparents raising grandchildren, and they have a
Mhm.
support group. And she did mention briefly that the opioid pandemic
Yes.
was a result of now grandparents becoming parents all over again. And what do
Mhm.
you do when you're looking forward to retiring? You already got to contend with, can I make my money stretch
Yeah.
or get a part-time job? But now you're becoming a parent all over again to your grandchildren. And she was saying that if the absentee parent is still somewhat involved in the child's life and don't have their act together, then you got
Mhm.
a whole nother set of problems. And they
Yes.
had created that support group. So when I say certain things, I know it sounds like I'm always beating up on the younger generation, but I include myself and say I dropped the ball. If it
Mhm.
wasn't
Mhm.
for my mother doing everything that she could, my focus was, let me make some money. I want my kids to go to college. I don't want them to have to struggle like
Mhm.
me. I want them to have the big Christmases and the birthdays and the this and the that. And my
Mhm.
mother would always say, Victoria, money does not replace love. And
Mhm.
I always wanted to get the money, but everybody didn't have what I had. A praying
Mhm.
mom,
Right.
and she was in the teaching field. She was a nursery school teacher and nursing degree behind her back. So she had all these things that qualify her to be a great caregiver in my absence.
Right.
And I wouldn't blame it all on our generation, because, of course, the teenagers and the young people, they have to take responsibility for their actions. And you know what you aren't going to do out of your parents' sight. We all had one of those parents, you bet not touch that, or I bet not hear Miss Jones down the street saying
Mhm.
that Fee
Mhm.
did anything,
Right.
Victoria
Right.
did anything, but they have to start taking some responsibility when they're out of the eyesight. And
Yeah,
if
and then
just because you have a bad parent, does that make you a bad child? Bad, are you going to grow up to be a bad adult? My
mhm.
girlfriend said that on Freedom Fridays. I said, you're exactly right. We have to take responsibility for our actions.
Point. And then, there, like you said, a multitude of factors. There are parents who are out there getting the money because they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Have to work 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not at home. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way that they're gonna make it if they're doing it by themselves, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And we won't even talk about inflation, how the cost of living has gone up, but wages have not. That in itself has bumped some people from lower middle class into poverty, from
Mm-hmm.
upper class into lower middle class. The struggle
Mm-hmm.
is real all the way around.
Yes, it is. I'm gonna tell
Mhm.
you, I'm feeling it. I don't know if you caught my episode, and that was one thing I caught the King's episodes, where he had Bull Talk by Joe on, and he was
Mhm.
explaining the difference between Hispanic, Mexican, and all of that good stuff. And I really got educated on that. And I kind of beat myself a little bit up about that, because I did that episode where, like you just said, we were lower middle class. And
Mhm.
now it
Mm.
seems like we're struggling into poverty, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I'm not working right now. So my husband is a sole breadwinner. And I was complaining about a certain race in particular. And I said Hispanic,
Mhm.
damaging my property. And he educated me just by listening to that segment. There is a big difference. And I went on to talk to some of my other friends that are in the Mexican community now. I could say Mexican, Hispanic community. and they educated me a little bit more. And, you know, the point of it all was Victoria, in every race, in every culture,
Mhm.
you've got some that's not going to represent the culture the way it needs to be represented. Just looking in the African American community, that's what you're fighting for, is to see a little bit more respect
Right.
and a little bit more responsible behavior with
Mhm.
your social media pages. I don't have a quorum with social media, but it's all in how you use it. I just had to
That's a
chastise somebody about tagging me in some stuff. And I said, respectfully, if you
Mhm.
listen to my show or if you follow my social media page, there's certain things I don't do or say. So please
Mhm.
don't tag me in the shenanigans
Right.
if
Right.
you follow me.
Mhm. Mhm. And I tell you, like you, it was a learning experience for me. I was educated on things that I didn't know, that I didn't realize, that I didn't understand, and then how things change over time. And as we get those years under our belt,
Mhm,
what we were taught at one point is different now. And
mhm,
it was also an eye opener for me. Every culture experiences some of those same issues.
mhm,
Listening to him talk about those issues, man, that's not what we do. That doesn't represent us. Oh, so you have the same problems we do.
mhm.
Yeah. We have more in common than we like to think if we stop focusing so much on the differences. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I see that in a lot of things, in
Mm.
a lot of things across the board. I may not like some of the things that you like, but that does not mean that you're a bad person. It just
Mm.
means your interest is somewhere else than mine are. And please don't force it on me. I was talking to my aunt about religion
Mhm.
and being spiritual. And the
Mhm.
breakdown of that's become a big thing. I was listening to some other young ladies, and one of them said affirmations is her thing.
Mhm.
She doesn't, religion and spirituality is a little bit messy for her because of the way she was raised. I can't
Mhm.
knock you for what you believe or what you want to believe in yourself, but it's that respect
Right.
line that I
Mhm.
think that across the board in all cultures, that's something we need to here to. We need to
Yeah.
respect each other.
Yeah, we spend too much time wanting to put someone else down because they don't agree with the way we think or um do what we want to do or take our just because it's not what you would have doesn't necessarily make it wrong. We can
Mhm,
agree to disagree respectfully. It
mhm,
doesn't have to be an argument.
mhm,
Okay? Well, you feel how you feel, I feel. Let's move on,
mhm.
you know. It's just everything doesn't have to be a big debate.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I think that's where I'm at in life, trying not to make everything a debate
Mhm.
and just focus on what I can change.
Mhm.
Focus on what means that what's important to me,
Mhm.
irregardless of I don't want to say irregardless of who like it or who don't because that sounds so brash, but
Regardless of who likes it and who don't. Uh, Sometimes it just is what it is, and sometimes we need to just say it how we say it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm still in help mode, but
Mhm.
now I'm pulling back. That was a conversation I was having with my auntie. I said, I'm kind of pulling back because I'm a little bit frustrated with my community. I'm a little bit frustrated with how not to change minds, just to get you to participate more in the things that you complain about so much. And you see people out here trying to make a difference, but you don't want to join forces, but you want to continue to complain about it.
There are some people who live to complain, and it doesn't matter what. And I tell you that social media has made it so easy to become an expert or to have a soapbox or to everybody to um, have their valued opinion,
Mhm.
spoken from the mountaintops.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I had to pull back, going through all the drama we were going with the start of school, because just looking at some of the conversations via social media, and then the people who have so much to say but don't have a dog in the fight,
Mhm.
you know? And that brings me to something that I wish more people would realize. Our lives are they are our lives, but it's not about us. If you are living life and you are not helping somebody in whatever capacity, whether it's individually, through an organization, through volunteering, whatever it is, you have to be giving back to someone else. Um, and for me, really, in order for life to be valuable, because it's not just about us. There was a world and all these lives before us. We have children, grandchildren, our nieces and nephews, or godchildren, or whatever. We need to make this a better world for them. We need to instill the compassion and the kindness into them. Me, I was a child who, had it not been for others giving back and pouring into me, whether it was individually or through an organization or a program I was involved in, I wouldn't be who I was today.
Mhm. Mhm.
So realizing that I have to give back. Teaching is one way I give back, but I used to volunteer.
Mhm.
Even as a high school student, I used to volunteer. I volunteered at the Children's Hospital, or I used to volunteer in Black Achievers. I went to Black Achievers in high school, and I got a scholarship to help me go through college to get my degree. So yeah, I could go back and I can volunteer in this program and give my time 1 or 2 Saturdays a month for a
Mhm.
certain amount of
Mhm.
time. Um, through my sorority, but whatever avenue, everybody needs to take it upon themselves to find a way to give back, to pour
Mhm.
back into the community, the world, help someone who doesn't have or doesn't know. That's what makes it purposeful.
Mhm.
There has to
Mhm.
be more. And
Mhm.
I just wish more people would take on that, mentality or that charge for themselves.
I do too. Which brings me to a question just listening to you.
Oh.
You know, I sound like most of the time that I'm beating up our young folks. I know some wonderful young people. They're
Mhm,
doing some amazing things. I certainly take my hat off to the African American boys and girls, young men and women that
mhm.
did go to college. I went to a 2-year technical college, then I went to beauty school. I never finished. So I definitely take my hat off to those individuals that did go to college. They're doing some amazing things. Sometimes I feel like it's more bad though. It's more bad behavior out there outshining the good young men and women. What do you think about that?
I agree, because that's what the public, the media focuses on. And, I say it all the time, and I hope I don't come across as a conspiracy theorist, but the media creates our narrative.
Yeah.
For a while, I had to quit watching the news,
Mhm.
because, yeah, you focus on, there's got to be equally as much good as there is bad. But when all the focus is on the bad and you don't give that same airtime or that same attention to the good, that's why we feel that way.
Mhm.
All right. Think about all the things that we know of or that we see behind the scenes that goes on in communities or other organizations that we never see on the TV, that we never hear about on the radio. that's not highlighted on social media.
Mhm.
There is a lot, but I mean, there is a narrative to be had.
I think when they started that whole, and this is in the celebrity world, oh, negative publicity is better than no publicity at all. People took that and ran with it.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I sometimes feels like that in our field. I know a lot of us in this world that we live in this podcast world are doing a lot of good things. We're putting a lot of good information out there, whether it
mhm,
be for the community or for somebody that personally can relate to whatever your topic might be for that episode.
mhm,
And I don't think that it gets the amount of attention. We have to work twice as hard to get the positive message out
mhm,
there and hope it does not fall on deaf ears. But
mhm,
versus somebody can come along with a topic that may not be so positive, and you may not understand the conversation. You may not can even understand the conversation for all the swearing going on, but it gets more light shed on it than the stuff
mhm,
that really matters. You
mhm,
know, the Hawaii fires, things
mhm.
like that. I mean, 800 and some people are still missing. Missing.
It's when I really started reading the articles and watching the news clips. Devastated is just too light of a word to kind of even describe it.
Hmm.
It gave me, it took me back to, all those feelings and emotions watching the coverage from Katrina.
Hmm. Hmm.
Listening to those people being interviewed saying they didn't know which way to go.
Hmm.
Um, People literally having to jump out of the cars trying to run away from the fire.
Hmm.
Some of them thinking they were running away from the fire were running into the fire, but it was coming so fast from all directions, didn't know where to go. The people jumping into the river just because the heat, to escape the heat. I
Hmm.
mean, when they showed the images of the road with just cars bumper to bumper charred,
Hmm. You know, listening to you
I
talk
don't
about
think
it right
they'll,
now, I got a lump in my throat.
I don't
Just,
even think they know the multitude of the death
mhm,
that was caused. And then to add insult to injury, the emergency warning system wasn't in place.
mm-mm,
When the fires got out of control, they didn't cut the power. A lot of the wind was, fueling the flames,
like, yep.
taking it there. A lot of the power lines were coming down. We're talking about live wires
Mhm,
causing even more fire.
mhm.
A lot of the death and destruction could have been avoided.
I feel the same way.
And a lot of heads are going to roll
I feel
because the ball was dropped in
oh, yeah.
a major way. And I'm sure there's so much more that I don't even know. Because I
Yeah.
just get bits and pieces of, what I've read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is sad. I was watching a little bit of it earlier today, and they were trying to say that they got it under control. No, it's not. It excuse me, and like you said, with the media putting those
Mhm,
narratives out there,
mhm,
they
mhm,
fan the flames and no pun intended to be
mhm,
funny,
mhm,
and they talk about it for days and days and days and days, and that's all you see. But when they're ready to put out the fire, they're on to something else. And this
mhm,
topic still is a major thing. This is still something that it is affecting people's lives on a
mhm,
daily but now it's no longer 24 or 48 hours fresh. So let's move on to something else. Let's move on to this shenanigans that we have with that fool.
Mhm. We won't
And we
even
ain't
talk
even
about
gonna leave
or
that.
his entourage. Just well, and just even the fact that the Ukraine and Russia, the
Hmm.
way that's still going on.
Still going on.
We're talking about over a year later.
Hmm. Hmm.
They cut the coverage for that a long and I get it because we get inundated.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just I don't know, I don't even know.
You
But
have
you
to
get
listen to the NPRs of the world to get what you want if that's your thing. And I'm like you. I mean, my husband, he looks at the world news and every news station every minute of the day. I have to turn it off because I'm so sensitive. It bothers me. Like when you were talking about it, it's heart wrenching when you care, when you
Mhm,
actually care, when you start
mhm,
to think about so many things that we as people take for granted, so many things like our young people take for granted, and you're trying to beat these things in their head. It is a better way.
right.
It's a better way to perform. It's a better way to handle that situation. And sometimes, like, I get defeated. Sometimes I have to go back to the drawing board. Me and my aunt was talking about that this morning, actually, in Bible study. And she said, Victoria, you don't know. I said, I don't know if I'm going to continue podcasting. I said, I feel
Mm,
like my best, bigger calling would be me putting in volunteering somewhere instead of trying to create this following for us to go
mhm,
out and help in the community. And she said, don't you dare. She said, you never know whose life that you're impacting that you don't know about. You just
mhm.
keep doing what you're doing and let God come along and do the increase. You want to do everything yourself because you feel like it's a need here and it's a need there. And I do, and we do get like that as people. I wish we could have a little bit more of our community, the faces that look like us.
Mhm.
Just slow down a little bit, I guess that's what I'm saying. Stop, look at it, be aware of what's going on around you in your community, in your world, because that could have easily happened anywhere. There are trees anywhere, and not to downplay that, but it could have been easily your parents, your children
And
that are missing.
and you say that, you think about the elderly
Hmm.
who couldn't move quick enough
Hmm.
to get away. You think about, um, it's I just can't, it's a lot. It's a
It
lot to
is.
even fathom, to try to imagine just the scope of everything that happened. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, we gonna keep pushing on and keep doing what we do. We all need pep talks. I think that's the thing of it. If we could just learn to lean on each other a little bit more.
And compassion, kindness. That's the one thing I push to my kids every day. They know the one thing I can't stand, mean people. And I
Mhm.
always be kind,
Mhm.
you know. I always have to tell them it's not what you say, it's how you say it. They talk so rough to each other.
Mhm.
And I just, the little shoulder touch. It's not what you say, it's how you say it,
Mhm.
you know. So quick to quote unquote pop off, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just kindness. And we have to start young, and just I drill it into them all year when they're with me, they know the one I don't deal with mean people. I don't deal with that drama. Y'all not gonna start that. And I'm always harder on the people who instigate
Oh yeah.
than the
Yeah.
people who actually get involved because why are you stirring it up?
Mhm.
You know? So, like I said, my part of my job is to instill that kindness, compassion. And then if you catch yourself not doing it, you feel some kind of way. You get that voice in the back of your head,
Mm-hmm.
that conscious thinking. So yeah, it
You're
goes a
more
long
than a
way.
teacher, Fee. You're a
Mm.
psychiatrist too.
Some days I come home and just sometimes you have to peel off the day. You have
Yeah,
to peel off the day.
yeah.
'Cause our kids go through so much that we don't realize sometimes.
When they
Um,
do.
one of the one of the assignments that I gave my parents, or I call them their adults, because now families don't look the same as they used to. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to be careful with even saying parents. And I send it home to the loved one of, and I put the kid's name. And so it's a letter from me asking them, letting them know you're your child's first teacher. You're your baby's first teacher. What is it that you want me to know about
Mm-hmm.
him or her?
Mm-hmm.
And just so far, I've only gotten about 6 letters back, but it gives you so much
Mm-hmm.
before I even really get to know these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps me with how to handle them, how to deal with them, what kind of love they need,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of attention they don't need.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's
it's
wonderful.
definitely more than a job,
I spoke
but it's
about
one I
just
signed up
that,
for. It's one I signed up
and you do well at it. I hear the passion in your voice, even just listening. That's one thing I love about you guys' show that, you tackle hard topics, you tackle real topics, and the passion. I see the passion for all of us striving to do the same thing. You said something earlier about everybody having a platform and a microphone, and that is so true now. I think I got into this world a little bit late. I'm coming up on a year, but
for.
now that it's been discovered, I think people discovered it during the pandemic, which we
Yes.
still are in.
Mhm.
uh, and now it's getting even bigger as
Mhm.
22 and 23 has come in and out. You see more people having platforms in different areas, whether it's YouTube or podcasting. And we do sit on our soapbox and sometimes we judge, but I kind of feel like do it for the right reasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody's not a psychiatrist just because you had some therapy.
Mhm.
Everybody's not a teacher just because you taught a course.
Mhm.
Everybody's not a preacher just because I'm married to a preacher.
Mhm.
But I can
Mhm.
only do my small part in telling my experience without trying to prejudge someone else.
And you know what? I attended a women's uh luncheon conference last weekend at my former church, and the speaker, she's one of my JCPS teacher colleagues, but it was basically use your passion to drive your purpose. If everybody has that platform and that microphone, use your passion to drive your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Use it for good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody has a different, quote unquote ministry. This is not
Mm-hmm.
my area of expertise. Find what is
Mm-hmm.
and work through that. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've been
Absolutely.
focusing on. I noticed I was telling my aunt this. I said, with my walk with Christ, and it's my faith and my belief, and I wouldn't try to dare push what I believe on anybody. But that's what I'm passionate about right now.
Mhm.
So my show has shifted a little bit. I'm putting more attention on morning inspirations than
Mhm.
actually just getting on the mic and really not having anything to say
Right.
unless it hits me. But that's where my passion is. That's where I'm on fire at. And I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm hoping that it still burns as brightly as it does right now, but I don't feel bad about it. In the beginning, when I first started Morning Inspiration, I caught a little bit of flack when it started running more than 2 minutes. Then I said, well, I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
just to tell everybody, okay, it may not be 2 minutes anymore. Now it's running like 20, 30 minutes. And I get it. But I had to take a step back and say, this is what you love. This is what you love talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes you unique in particular. And just
Mm-hmm.
because your circle is full of many fabulous people that talk about many different things, and they may not want to hear you talk about your Heavenly Father. Those that will listen, those who don't won't. But this is bigger than
Mm-hmm.
them. This is you being true to you. So
Absolutely.
I think it's nothing wrong with having your platform as long as you're true to what you're passionate about and not trying to be Fiona the teacher or me trying to be Will the minister. That is his calling.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
tell everybody that's not my calling. I don't call on me in church. I do not desire to stand up, but I will be obedient to my Heavenly Father. With that being said, I love the stories. The Old Testament to me is just a roadmap to life.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that went on, we go through, whether it be family drama, sister drama, brother drama, eating, clothing. It's all
Mm-hmm.
been done before. And to me, and I love to read. I love to read anything you put in front of me. So I like going down those, as your husband would say, rabbit holes.
Rabbit
Let me
holes.
find,
Uh-huh.
let me find, let me see what they mean by this. Let me find another book to see if it'll break it down. And I think that you're right in that. If we stay in our lanes and be passionate about the things that we want to be passionate about, and also caring, putting that compassion out there, showing. We all have heard that saying, action speaks louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us, including myself, I'll tell myself all the time, you have too many words, put it in action.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And the
we,
thing is, that compassion you have and that grace you extend towards others, extend to yourself because as we grow, we change.
mhm,
And so, what your morning inspiration was a year ago is different than it is today because you are not the Victoria from a year ago.
mhm,
You are today's Victoria. And
mhm,
so, your message is going to reach who it needs to reach. People are going to come in and people are going to fall off.
mhm.
And we just have to be okay with that.
We have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
I want to live in a bubble with all the people that's okay with that.
I know
Well, Queen, I guess we've chopped it up enough, huh?
it was good. I enjoyed it. I
I did
definitely
too.
enjoyed it.
I
I
did
enjoyed it.
too. I enjoy it.
And like I say, anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Well, we got September coming up, and the queens that are missing has definitely said they're definitely going to be here in September, and we can see what kind of shenanigans we can get into and mind other folks' business.
Absolutely. And as you are enjoying Virgo season, Libra season is coming up and I'm
Oh,
here
I
for it
know.
all, baby. So yeah,
I know that's right. I know that's right. Well, I'm gonna be cheering you on. I'm gonna enjoy this thing. I'm not gonna celebrate my birthday every day, but I'm gonna take advantage of Virgo season until after the
until
22nd of September.
until you get tired of it. I feel like, hey, you can take the whole month if you want to.
I know,
You
I
can take the
know.
whole month. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, Queen. And I didn't do this the last time and I beat myself up. Tell everybody where they can find you and the King.
Okay, you can find me and my king, my better half, my love bug, okay. We are with the Thing About Us podcast, and you can find us at on all podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Good Pods, and so on and so forth. The Thing About Us, yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. We talk about the things about us, relationship wise,
and it is good.
and at a rep.
Well, guys, I'm gonna do it for Chronicles of a Virgo, Shakita. You can find her on all listening platforms, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, TikTok. She's TikTok queen. And as well as Catch These Vibes. You can check them out on all those platforms as well. I didn't give them the opportunity to do that. We was having so much fun the last time. I do want to spread the love, but it will be in the show notes, and it is in the show notes. Until next time, kings and queens, we are out. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Peace and blessings, guys.